Oh, yep. Go ahead, do your thing.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Kings and queens, appreciate you coming with us again on a Sunday evening. This is a very special Sunday evening. We've been coming to you for about 7 months, and it's just been the Queen and I. It's been Mary and I trying to hold the conversation, trying to move mountains with words, and just kind of spark conversation with some topics. But tonight is our first night where we have some very special people with us. I mean, very special people to myself and both Queen Mary. Two people who I think you'll find very interesting, very powerful people who are out here amongst the community doing what we do. Um, and it may be two different angles, two different ways, but that's how we got to attack this beast. We got to attack it from every angle possible. So I want to thank you. I appreciate you guys. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Dr. Kathleen E. Walls.
Gotta put that E in
Hi,
there.
Doc. Yeah,
That's right. Hey.
I'm not leaving out any letters, Doc.
I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you very much. And somebody who is very special to me, somebody who has showed me a lot about life, had the real man talk with me, and told me things when I didn't want to hear it and I needed to hear it. And it's been just a guiding light. So my brother, my friend, my mentor, Calvin, Coach Cal Murphy. What's happening, my brother?
Appreciate you, Flex. Thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate it. And I know with you, it's going to be a lot of straightforward talk with you. It's not going to be a lot of the beating around the bush kind of talk with you. I know we get straight to the point, and that's what our people need. You know what I'm saying? I got a slogan now that I use called "The house is on fire." And when the house is on fire, you don't whisper, you scream and you yell, and you get everybody to know what's going on. So I definitely use that as a slogan now. So listen, kings and queens, I appreciate you being here. We're going to just have a dialogue and speak to the people, and we're going to get to know you guys a little bit. We're going to, I guess, break down some walls, and you're going to let us know who you are.
We're going to break down some walls.
In the building. Walls in the
building. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and break them down and, get everybody to know you guys and let us know how you lead in the community and what you're doing out in the community. So, Mary, I'm not going to do too much talking. You go ahead and take a little bit of the lead.
And for those who follow us as kings and queens in this community, know that is just in statement that he will be back to being who he is very shortly. As soon as something sparks his interest, he's gonna be like, okay, wait, pause. What'd you say again?
Yes.
So I equally would like to thank both of you for joining us this week, because again, as we said in the green room before coming on live, you have been instrumental to our lives in some capacity. Turn my volume down. In some capacity, professionally and personally. So I have been given the wonderful privilege to introduce Coach Cal.
I thought we was going Queen first.
He flipped the script. He didn't introduce her all the way.
I was just kind of briefly introducing them both, and then they were going to kind of
see, that's how King and Queen do. They change the script from what they say in the meeting, and then they come on into the living room, and in the living room it'd be something different. So we just gonna be in the living room and just make the dance go the way that the dance go.
There we go.
Oh, that's how you're supposed to do it, man. You're supposed to do it. You're probably in your house right now.
I'm gonna rearrange everything then.
Got no shoes on right now, so do your thing.
I'm gonna say, well, what's the community check-in, and let's shoot a fat and chat. Like, what's happening in our community that we want to kind of talk about before we dive into spotlighting these wonderful guests and their businesses and how it is that they touch communities every single day. So like I know it's been some hot commodities on the minds of our community. What you got, Fletch? Or
Well, on my
anybody.
end, listen, I don't want to, if there's something like that you feel that's super important that you guys are going through and you would like to get it out and let it be known in our community to be aware of what's going on, please, don't let me over talk, because like you said, I could go ahead and we've been doing this for 7 months. I've been talking for 7 months straight.
Look, you know my world. My world is education. My world is incarceration. My world is trauma. My world is advocacy. My world is youth advocacy. So that's my world. Anything to do with the community, I'm in all those areas, and let's talk.
Yeah. I'm open for it because, I deal with a lot of different things, just like Calvin was saying, you got all of those areas and everything else. You got the parents, you have the frontliners, you have your healthcare staff, you have people giving vaccines. I've been talking with a lot of people who have received the vaccine. I've talked with people who are still on the fence about whether or not they want to get the vaccine.
Come on now.
So all of that's real in our community.
And listen, that is, I think that's a real hot topic right now. You got people in the same families who are having real arguments and debates and strong conversations and opinions about, are you getting this vaccine or are you not getting this vaccine?
Yep.
And I think everybody has their right to feel the way they do. Yeah. I just hate the fact that sometimes, and a lot of times, I feel like you just being misled by people. So there's always been a mistrust for governments, for officials who we have in our lives, who we turn to at critical times like this. And we need we need these people to be as trustworthy as possible. And they haven't always shown that. So people who are skeptical, I definitely understand. People who are fearful and scared and want to get it, I understand that as well. So
anybody who's well read, though, it is anybody who's well read. They know about the testing of our elementary students when it comes to drugs to keep them calm. They know about the Tuskegee experiment. They know about the experiments in prison. So you read all of those things, and I think a big issue with us is not only are we skeptical of the medical system, we have no respect for coronavirus. So when you're looking at these you're looking at these videos of parties and bars and no masks. It's you got to weigh both, because we're not being taken care of. The people we trust the most are the ones who are in the streets the most, in bars and clubs, and they're bringing it back to people who don't need it. So that's got to be a concern too.
Yeah. And I would say, when it comes to, it's interesting you said the word trust, and that's what came to my mind immediately, is that we have to look at who do we trust and how do we trust and why do we trust? And so oftentimes when people talk about trust, one, we have to understand that there's layers to trust. So for instance, I might trust that so-and-so shows up to work on time, and I can also trust that they ain't going to do their job. Right. So we got to look at the different levels of trust. We also have to look at, are we giving trust blindly, or are we having people earn trust? So we have to look at all of that. And so, for instance, when it comes to this vaccine, there have been major violations that have taken place within the Black community. And I can't speak to other communities. I can only speak to that one when it comes to the violations that have taken place. So now all of a sudden, for trust to be given so blindly, it's been questionable. And I've had to talk to people who run vaccine clinics about that they have to understand that the populations that they're going into, this is the reality of some of their history, because that's still within some people's lifetime. Absolutely. And those stories are within the households. And we know how then when something goes out, it spreads like wildfire. And so there has to be a restorative moment that happens so that trust can be earned and built again.
Very true.
I gotta give a shout out to my December buddy, V Shane on the Instagram,
Hey.
listening in and saying, yes, Lord.
Shout out to Mark on the gram. I appreciate always, man. We always appreciate the check-ins from everybody. Just trying to have a real conversation with real people who are really out here, who really you might be in the streets and walk by and touch and could feel and could ask questions. Not somebody that you just see on television and their word is just is God. And these are real people who are really out here. And I like to use the term getting your shoes dirty. The bottom of these shoes on this screen are dirty from being out here in these streets, pounding this pavement.
Yes.
Doc, I see the roll of the eyes, Doc. Yeah.
Look, yes. Wait, I'm laughing because I put on some new kicks today and I was feeling some kind of way as I was walking because the streets was dirty and I was like, now wait a minute, y'all fresh out the box. Like
you gotta watch your steps.
I had to watch my step. I wanted to take them out last week, but it was raining and muddy. Now I was like,
I quit buying nice tennis shoes. I wear cowboy boots all the time.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that brother wears and Doc, he'll if a young man wants to get on the basketball court, he'll get on the hoop court with cowboy boots on.
Get out of here.
And look and win.
All right.
Not and win.
But we have to, like Doc said, we gotta ask a lot of questions. We I mean, it may be cliche, but they used to always say, you want to hide something from us, put it in a book. But like that can't be the way it goes anymore. Like we got to really come out from under the rock, off of Facebook, and really do some research and some homework and really learn some things outside of what these traditional schools are really teaching us, because a lot of times we move off emotion, and emotion leads us in wrong ways and wrong directions and ends up in places where you got to meet somebody like Coach Cal and be in a placement. And hopefully you got somebody who is a good enough mentor teacher to help you rebuild yourself so you can be productive back in the community. What's up, brother Chap Brown? Appreciate you checking in. So like, Coach mentioned and Tyrone just mentioned the Tuskegee experiment. I mean, a lot of people probably don't even know
the Civil War.
Right. A lot of people probably don't know the whole story of it. They just been passed on down through history. The story, Tuskegee. Like really go do some research about it.
Right.
Go
learn it.
You can really still touch people who went through it, who really went through it. So we got to stop being lazy and really get up off the couch and really do some work. If we really want to change anything, if we really want to say we educated and we use the word kings and queens on this show, if we really want to use those terms, we got to start moving like that. Kings and queens don't just take whatever somebody says as the word. No, we go and do the homework behind it so we are informed and our people are informed. So
that's what's going on now, though. When you look at things that are going on right now, Facebook is a major education tool. And we're seeing that conspiracy. Yeah, it is. We're seeing that conspiracy theorists now on not just from us, with people just grasping for stuff and sharing it with mad people that won't look any further and want to stay mad, don't want to help. But we're seeing that same thing on the other side politically now, where you have these pro-Trump people who are doing the same thing and going with these conspiracy theories. With Q9, whatever it is, Q9, I don't even want to say it, but you're seeing a lot of that.
They don't say it, they might make us silent.
Yeah, I ain't saying that crap. But you're seeing a lot of that conspiracy theorist thing right now, and a lot of people hungry for education, but they won't go deep enough to say, I need to go deeper. I need to go to reliable sources and find out this stuff. So Facebook is crippling our community in a lot of ways too, because they're believing everything that's said.
Yeah. Well, I would also say, right, there's a level of research that we have to learn how to do,
Right.
because we'll go to things like Wikipedia and we have to understand that that's not always credible. And sometimes you got to dig past the first page to get to some real sources of information and do some cross-referencing to start to see how the data is lining up so we know whether or not to believe it or not.
Very true.
So true. So
Very,
true.
very true.
So true. I appreciate everybody checking in on Facebook and Instagram. Once again, we got two special people with us. It's our first time having guests on the show.
Yes.
Dr. Kathleen
Oh, it's super
Eballs.
special. I didn't know it was the first time.
Look at her.
Yes.
And Tambourine is out. It's on its way.
Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
Mary got me this tambourine, so I had to bring it to her tonight.
Gotta
I like that.
Can't
I'm
beat
sure
the
you have to learn
tambourine.
about
You
what a
can't beat
tambourine
that.
moment is within our conversation, because that's like a touch and agree past the
That's
offering
right.
plate. Like,
That's
did you
right.
say that? Oh, no, that's a tambourine right
That's
there.
a tambourine moment. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also we got King Coach Cal
Mhm.
Murphy on the
Brother.
line. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, we're gonna keep on just chewing a little bit of the fat away before we let you guys go ahead and introduce yourself. Yeah, Tyrone, you make some super valid points. I think we just trying to, inside of the parameters and the walls. Listen, this society, this thing that they have going on called America. If the four people on the screen were in charge of it, it wouldn't look like it does. It wouldn't be
Sure
ran the way.
wouldn't.
If I had the magic wand, it would be a glorious place. It really would look and be what they say it's supposed to be. So
Mhm.
saying that, inside of these parameters that they label freedom that we have to maneuver in, Tyrone, we trying to find solutions and ways to fix what's wrong, to come up with solutions. I mean, we all could pinpoint and say, this is wrong, this is wrong. There's a million things wrong, but now it's 2021. We need some answers. If you still here, if you still breathe in this air, it's because you got some answers.
We had
You know
this
what I'm
question.
saying?
We talked about this the other day. It's funny you said that. And one of the things that kept coming up was the amount of trauma that our people have been exposed to.
Baby.
And what trauma has done to the elite people, whether it's secondary trauma, and what trauma has done to the middle class, and what trauma has done to the underserved. And you got to start there first. And unfortunately, not a lot of people want to acknowledge that. Not a lot of people want to talk about that. They want to talk about things like reparation, which I have no problem doing. But you start talking about reparations without healing trauma and getting people help, then you're just throwing it. Then you'll have a whole bunch of Gucci bags and everything else in the hood. So
Right.
So we got to have some real
Or the
discussions
guns,
about how to
because I
heal.
got pandemic unemployment.
Yep.
So because I got
Gucci
extra
and
coins, I
guns
go buy
everywhere.
guns.
Right.
Yeah. So
I
we
ain't
need
never had a
healing.
job in my life, but I can go do that.
Yep. You're right.
It's funny you said something about reparations, because I was having a conversation and I said, if I was America, I would just gave people reparations, because our people, we're going to give it right back. We're going to give it. I promise you, we're going to give it right back. And then they could have just washed their hands with the whole conversation.
Mhm.
It would have been some of us who could have said, yeah, let's go get some land. Let's go ahead and build something up and create our own. But for the majority, it had been on Instagram and Facebook, and it would have been a whole bunch of Gucci and guns everywhere.
But if you say that too loud, they get mad at you, Fletch. Don't say that too loud, because they get mad at you and get sensitive about it. I do what I want to do with my money. But that again, that's that
Right,
thing.
but
That's
then when the money is burnt out, you back at ground zero trying to figure out how you can cope and sustain in your household with food and whatever. But you've made investments that weren't necessarily sustaining not only to you, but to those who you're responsible for. And so it's like, okay, what conversation you really want to have? Because if we begin peeling back the layers, you might not be ready and comfortable. But if you in the room with Dr. Kathleen Walls, you better get ready, because the layers got to get pulled back. And she probably would equally say the same thing to me. The layers got to get pulled back, because if you're not doing real work, why are we here investing time in the conversation?
Exactly.
The purpose is to get in tune with your universal assignment. And until you do that, you masking up.
But
And I'm
here's
not
the
talking
thing,
about
though.
masking like we mask because of cousin Corona, masking
Mhm.
because you're choosing to live in a fantasy of life of filters.
But here's the
Mhm.
thing, though. We have within our communities, we have individual cultures, and the way that culture was taught to me
Mhm.
was a people's unique way of doing things. So that
Yes.
means you have very little pockets that are telling each other all the wrong things to do, and based on their culture, that's it. So
Mm-hmm.
you're going to spend money
Right.
this way, you're going to live this way, you're going to wear this, you're going to say these things,
Mhm.
and that's what they're teaching each other, and that's what's accepted, and
Right.
that's what's happening to our young people as well. There are a whole bunch of little culture pockets, but at the end of the day, they group us all together.
Mhm.
Right.
So that's one of the things we got to fix. What's normal and what's not
Yeah.
normal.
Well,
Right.
baby. So, so all right, y'all talking my language now. So a couple
Okay,
things.
good.
So number one, right? So when we're talking about culture, it's the shared assumption of how to do something.
Right.
And it's passed down throughout the generations. And
Mhm.
unless somebody takes honest inventory of it and then makes the necessary adjustments, that once may have been normal or acceptable behavior gets passed down and goes into an environment where it is now abnormal or dysfunctional. And
Mhm.
so we have to learn to, again, take that honest inventory and be, game changers. We have to be change agents in the society, in order to look at what is really working for us and what's not working for us. And then one of the things I work with my client, anybody around, they don't have to be a client,
It really
is
don't.
yeah, it really doesn't. Is what's the difference, what's normal and what's natural. There are some things to us which have become normal, but they are not natural. For example, the people may naturally wake up at 11 a.m., but their job starts at 9,
Hmm.
so they have to now get up at 6 a.m. It has
Mhm.
become normal for them to do that, but it is still not natural for their way of being, for their natural state of being.
Because
And
they
so
don't
there
tune
are
into
things,
anything else.
right? So there's things that we have adopted as being who we are that are not naturally
Oh,
who
yeah.
we
Okay,
are.
Doc.
They
Yeah,
have
yeah. We
become
talking, Doc.
normal over time. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is because the culture part of it has said that this is what normalcy is, but normal to who?
Right.
So even
Right.
when we talk about individualism versus a collective mindset and a community mindset, we as African people from the diaspora tend to come from a communal community mindset, but we have been living in an individualistic society, which now moved us into individualism, and we are not seeing the interconnected nature between
Say
us
it.
all. And so now we go through this philosophy of 6 degrees of separation as opposed to the Kemetic philosophy of 6 degrees of common ground. So there are many things that have been flipped, which are natural to us, that now we are calling normal, but we're not in alignment with it, and it's not working with us. We're not in tune with it because it is not who we naturally are.
You see something that just happened? Did you see the one comment that just came up from Daryl
Oh,
Braswell?
yeah.
It
Go
said
ahead.
This
it
right
said
here.
it said what community? It said we don't own anything, and this
Hmm.
is one of those things. You just educated us on what's normal, what's not, and why not, and where it's from. And one of the things that's missing when he asked that question, I kind of got a chill in my body,
Mhm.
Hmm.
because as Fletch said, one of the things that I do on purpose is I walk through any neighborhood. I walk through any neighborhood at any time, and we'll play basketball at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. There's no
Mhm.
ownership. And I do that to show some aspect of what normal is supposed to be like from a man. I'm not coming
Hmm.
in there with a bottle. I'm not coming in there with a blunt to talk to you. I'm not coming in to preach to you. I'm just showing you that somebody cares about you enough to give you time. And these are the things that are missing. Like that's our culture. Our culture is more hands-on. Our culture is reach back.
Mhm.
Sankofa. This is our
Yes.
culture. So if we're not doing that, and we've allowed our culture to become more concerned about what other people don't have. Like I don't care what we don't own in the community. I care
Hmm.
about the people in that community living long enough to see what's outside of that community.
How about
Hmm.
that?
And those are the things that I care about. So when I see comments
Hmm.
like that, it kind of got me. that we can change the culture of any community if we get more
Yes.
people that walk through those neighborhoods and give those communities time. That's what's
Mhm.
missing. Productive people can change a culture in any neighborhood.
Absolutely. Where's the tambourine?
Him right here, throwing it at
Listen,
Calvin. Yes.
like if you listen,
I want to touch on the fact of the, I know, Doc, you said it, the normalization of something, or normalization of what people expect. And then one of our faithful followers said, I like that natural versus normal. And somebody's volume is up. The thing that strikes me recently is that when you say normal, or when you say, well, I just want to just mention this, but don't take it personally, you become dismissive of the reality of something that someone is experiencing and make it seem as if it's not real. And now they want to throw around, and I mean, it's a reality, a term, but they want to throw around gaslighting. But gaslighting has been around forever, because you've been telling me that I have to assimilate to what you identify on how it is I'm supposed to represent myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, normal, who's normal?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Again, we have to take that honest inventory and see, is it normal with us? And one of the ways that we can tell is, how does it resonate in our body? Does it sit right with us when we hear it? Does it feel right? Does it feel wrong? What thoughts come to our mind? Like, we have to learn ourselves. One of our infamous proverbs is know thyself. And unfortunately, we're so busy caught up in a lot of distractions, like television shows and movies and conversations, that are not bringing us that ROI. We talked about the word investment. If you're investing your time, what are you getting from investing your time? If it's
so Doc,
yielding,
I gotta pause you for a second. I gotta do
Go for
one of your moves.
Yes.
You threw out one of them entrepreneur words, and people don't know that acronym. What's the ROI? We gotta, make sure all of our community know what you're talking about.
I'm with you. Return on
bing,
investment.
bing, bing.
Return on investment.
Okay.
So anything that you are doing, so like, if, for instance, if we're talking about stocks, if we're talking about, again, spending time, relationship, let's start with this. Look, I'm gonna go into your bag. We talking about relationships, right? If you spending time with somebody and the only thing that you getting from it is either ghosted or drama and conflicts, that's a negative return on investment. That's like getting, that's like getting debts instead of actually making some money. But if you're spending
heart disease, diabetes, migraine headaches, all of these other symptoms that you ignore, but they are telling you that where you're at, the house is on fire.
Right.
Go
ahead, Coach Calvin. I see you. What you got?
Look, I'm waiting. I'm listening to y'all.
Trauma.
Delrico is talking.
That trauma has become normal. That trauma has become normal.
Yes.
It's like, so when you have relationships and people, or it's a cycle, they keep going to the same thing. The one constant is you in every one of these relationships, and it's traumatic, and people tend to live inside of that like it's normal, and it becomes natural, and so it's passed on over generations. Like, so we know people who their relationship is super toxic. People getting busted in the head, people getting body slammed, but they keep going right back home.
So a second ago, remember she sat there, and when you're talking about that trauma, trauma causes.
And to speak to Coach Cal's point,
go ahead, Fletch.
His internet has a delay.
Okay. No. Yeah, sorry, but
I think he said, "Go ahead, Coach." At least that's what he said from Instagram.
I was going to say, when we were just talking about culture, and I was talking about smaller groups of culture, and as Fletch started talking about that,
my thing's running a little slow. No, go ahead, do your thing, Coach.
Yeah. All right. He started talking about culture. We were talking about culture, and when you talk about trauma will cause those culture circles, and they're not, and they're a lot of way too many times they're negative culture circles. Like there's
Mhm.
nothing plus. So, and as I said, they're teaching each other, and they're made up of everything from social activities to religion to music to everything negative. That's something that has to be acknowledged, and a lot of times they're not normal. Coping skills are the same, and usually the coping skills are usually negative. And
Mhm.
until we get into those things and start again walking through to see what people need and to see where they are, our community is going to look the same forever.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because we are capital to a lot of people, and because we are capital,
Mhm.
their ROI and return of investment is trying to ensure that we stay in our role and
Right.
assigned place according to them versus our role and assigned place according to our universal assignment.
Right.
Yep.
It's wild when
Yep.
it's wild when they look like us though. It's wild when
Exactly.
you know
Well,
what I mean. It's
they
wild when
pick
we're on
certain.
top. Yeah.
They have to get some
Mhm.
soldiers.
Right.
Mhm.
I was on a
Mhm.
meeting the other day, and one of the things it was actually it was a meeting on trauma. It was a community meeting on trauma, and I'm thinking you really want to get to the bottom of things, and you really want to talk to these things. And one of the things that's causing the most trauma in this city are the homicides. You know,
Yes.
and I tried to educate them. I'm like, with PA in particular, right now, going back at all those placement facilities for all the stuff they did to all those kids over those years. Um, why don't y'all want to talk about the effects on those kids? And if you look at the numbers of the kids that are in those places, look at the amount that are in penitentiaries now. Like, why don't you want
Mhm.
to have a discussion with the counties and the state on what happened to these kids to put them in a situation so that we don't
Mhm.
continue this trauma situation of homicides and beatings
Mhm.
and crime based on juvenile probation for the girls and the boys.
Right.
You know, they didn't want to
Mhm.
talk about that.
Right.
So
Of
so it's
course.
so everybody wants to talk, but they don't want to do nothing about it. It really hit hard.
I just
Mhm.
saw a video too last night. I believe it was on Instagram, and from the person who it is, they're a follower who is also a lawyer, and they showed a video where there was they were high school students. So the girl represents the nation or like Islamic practices. So she was getting teased because of that in the lunchroom by a Caucasian peer, and that peer began to beat her up. Oh, that's his signal. A peer began to beat the girl up, and was getting giggles and laughs as if to dismiss what was actually occurring. And so another sister came to, support and step in to help the sister that was being beat up by this the Caucasian student. And when the security guards came to break them away, they pulled the Black girl away
Mm-mm.
as if she was the aggressor, and she was stepping in to support the initial person that they were laughing at, and saying all of the things that were, right, not just so wrong, just dismissing the fact that she was really at the lunch table being pounded on, and no security guard, nothing was stepping in.
Wow.
And we know, being in schools and in the lunchroom, there's staff there, so you could have stepped in way before a third person got into it. But why did you select to pull the Black girl that
That's
was
your
trying to
training.
break up?
That's because that's your training.
Mhm.
You know, if your training is
Mhm.
based on kids of color are usually aggressive, then that's how you're going to react. And
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and you could, I thought, I guess I didn't think, but all the trainings that happened, all those cultural sensitivity trainings that happened last summer, after George Floyd, you know, you had all these businesses, all these schools needing all this training, doing all this stuff, and it didn't help. It was a big show for everybody, but
Mhm.
until our color stops being a weapon, those are the things that are going to happen.
Mhm.
Right, but apparently when we had the George Floyd
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of
scenarios,
money they making on our backs.
and
Yeah.
when you had the scenarios that created the need or the attention to the diversity type conversations and cultural
Yes.
awareness, it was put in as a band-aid to silence us. And some of us were predictable as far as, okay, we're not supporting this, that, or that particular agency for a certain amount of time, but they knew that we would come back,
Right.
because people who said, oh, I'm not supporting Starbucks anymore, they're back.
Mhm.
What do we talk about?
All
We
those
talked about
other
that before.
companies, and they're back.
We don't know how to be uncomfortable.
Right.
Like we don't know how to do it. Like it's hard. We won't boycott. For a lot of the fellas, they won't stop watching the NFL. Like I'm a Kaepernick
Mhm.
fan forever for life now, so NFL can go somewhere. but we won't be uncomfortable. It's just the way I feel. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. We won't be uncomfortable. Anything that causes us to be uncomfortable, any protest or anything like that, we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I think I really think and the people out here who are commenting, we really appreciate it. You guys have brought a different and interesting perspective, and it seems that a lot of the comments and feedback. Listen, we don't want to take anything personal.
right.
Everybody has something to offer, so if just make your comments respectable and teach us something. If you have some knowledge, that's why we all here.
Always.
Nobody's perfect. We all can learn. Listen, we got a doc on the line, and I can guarantee you, she could learn something else. So
all the time, I stay a
She's
student
something.
teacher.
Yeah.
I'm a student
Listen,
teacher
I always
all the
tell
time.
people,
Life
that's
is
me.
always,
the more reading
life
I
is
do,
always
the more I
teaching.
know I got a lot more books to read.
And I always say in
So-
every situation, be it that I'm doing a professional development, I'm teaching, and I'm in a session, I'm like, every single conversation is an interview.
Right.
And in that interview, you should be reading the script and understanding everything that is entailed within that process, because every conversation, you never know who's watching, be it on a direct or on a replay, or, they think about what you said when a new opportunity comes up and they pull you in. So I'm like, think about every conversation is an interview, because you never know when it's going to be your card that's going to come up.
Yeah.
Hey, Zylaw, thank you for joining.
The other thing I think about now, whenever I work with children, I also give them this, is that every interaction becomes a memory. And so how do you want people to remember you? How do you want that? I know you have. Right. And so Calvin had mentioned the concept of Sankofa earlier. And so again, with those interactions becoming memories, Sankofa means to look to the past and take from the past and bring it to the present, to make the present better and to make the future greater. So what are we looking at? Again, we're talking return on investment, right? So from a cultural standpoint, we're looking to the past to see what worked and what worked effectively. And can we incorporate it now? And will it also work effectively? And how is it going to help us to move forward in life the best way that we can?
You're talking about those kids. I had a conversation with some students the other day, and it was interesting to hear them talk about the past, and to hear them talk about, they were arguing WB and they were arguing Booker T. And I kind of sat there and was listening to the argument, and it was refreshing, but at the same time sad at how many of them really believed in the talented 10. So as I said, you got both sides, and I'm always going to respect both sides. But it was just interesting to see how many were more about self than they were about their community.
Yes.
That was very bothersome. And then the other side was more like, okay, F it then. I'm gonna do my thing anyway. And that's that thing that usually goes that strong energy that goes a different way. And that's that thing we got to reel in. So. I think history, we have to some way, some form, get history back in these schools. And so it's disgusting here. Outside of the big five we talk about in history every year during the month of February, it doesn't look like us.
That's why I went to a HBCU, because I was rebelling the fact that I had only learned about 3 leaders in all of my 12 years of, elementary through high school. And I'm like, okay, something not matching this whole picture. I had moved from the Midwest to the East Coast, and that was definitely mind blowing. Like, okay, wait, what did I just walk into? And they everybody want to speak to me. We don't speak to everybody in Chicago. What is this going on? And so that was a culture shock for me. I was writing 50-page, I called them letters, to my friends in Chicago, trying to describe what the cultural experience was. And then I wasn't wearing a coat. So then I stood out because what they considered winter wasn't winter. And it was just a whole transition. So it's like when you think about, and it makes me think about a conversation I had actually yesterday with a girls group that I work with, that they met me through Dr. Walls. And one of the youth was having a conversation around the impact and influence of racism in the community today. Now, we were talking about grief and how grief is, and I'm facilitating the coping wall. And racism does have an element of grief in it. But she was shifting the energy of the room more into a social justice aspect. And we only had 15 minutes left to kind of like deal with that, patch it up, and make sure that everybody left on an elevated moment. And I was like, what? Did she? And then she had an audio to listen. So I say all of that to say, we think that our youth are not impacted. We think that the voices of who it is that we are out here serving do not have a voice in this livable conversation that we're having every single day. So it's like we have to be mindful of all ages are being impacted by the pandemic that they talk about and the pandemic that they don't talk about that was going on before March of 2020.
Yeah.
Old people got to remember that they were young at one point.
Ain't that the truth?
And you wanted to have a voice, and you didn't like to be dismissed, and you didn't know everything, because we all say, if I knew this when I was 15, like, that's right. So you can't, like, the reality is, and I tell young people is, older people are the cheat code. So get some older people that you know in your life and that you trust, and really have some real conversations.
No, that's right.
But here's the thing, though, Fletch. What was we talking about before? We talked about this before. When we're talking about constant learners, the people that a lot of these older people have to be constant learners too, because these kids have changed. As soon as you sit there and say, well, back in my day, I did this and I've been this and I didn't did this, they don't want to hear it and they're turning you off.
Right. They went to sleep.
So you got to learn how to talk to them in a way where they get it, where you listen first.
Yes.
And you're patient and you're not judging. And if they get mad at you and F you and everything else, you can't sit there and give up on them and walk away and be like, oh, F him, he ain't want to learn nothing anyway.
Right.
You know, like that's what we're missing. That's that again, that's that period of time.
Coach, that's when we was just talking about people wanting to help but don't have the capability to help. Like you need help yourself. You can't help if you can't compartmentalize and get your personal feelings out of it. You can't help somebody else, man. Because kid is not. You don't have the greatest information. You're not about to get his kid
life
the
has
greatest
evolved.
information. Know how hard you sat down and thought about it. You know what I'm saying? You done thought about it and said, yeah, I'm gonna tell this young boy this. And when he be like, get the F out my face, now you attacking the young boy, but you don't understand.
and you're re-traumatizing
you don't
them.
Understand. You
and they get re-traumatized on another layer.
You're re-traumatizing them. So they've already got this. You'd be surprised. People would be surprised at how many of these kids are really dealing with something right now. Like just every issue. It's a much more sensitive kid right now. So their trauma looks a lot different than ours looks. So when you sit there and you can't take what they're giving you for a second to sit there, and that's what I said earlier, die to self. You know, you got to get past yourself to help them. If you can't do that, you're re-traumatizing them, and then they're going to be gone for another 6 months to a year or longer before they trust anybody else.
Right.
Yeah. It's so much they're dealing with so much, and their life is very different than what our life was. I mean, they have to navigate social media.
A lot of your comments,
that's not something we had to navigate. You know.
A lot of the comments.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
We leaning in.
We're gonna say E.F. Hutton. We're showing our age.
And he is actually talking on Instagram, and we can't hear him.
Oh wow. Wow. I guess that's only for Instagram ears only.
That's only for Instagram to hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It's okay.
all right.
All right, so we have danced all the way into the social justice community situations. Apparently, like that should be evidence to anybody who is following this conversation. Like that, what we said in the beginning in regards to the fresh sneakers can't be worn during the rain because we already know they're gonna get dirty, but we don't want them to get dirty like right away. Or I'm gonna play basketball with boots.
Not on day one.
Not on day one.
Exactly.
Like, let me at least be able to sport them real quick and take a foot cam.
At least one. Exactly. Oh my goodness.
And you can see that the strength and the voice and what it is that we bring to the conversation, that we probably really could have a powerhouse roundtable with the four of us and really peel back a whole bunch of layers, probably a couple onions. To like kind of get some resolution that would help direct our communities in some particular way. But that's why you guys were selected for the first show.
I appreciate
that. And I think that's also, this represents community, to be able to hear different, to come together, to be able to have different experiences, to share the different experiences, to learn from each other, to teach each other. That's part of building that healthy community. When it goes back to the infamous statement of it takes a village, we have to shift with the times. Our communities are now, a lot of them are virtual. I belong to several different communities. So it's not so much about ownership of properties or businesses, and not to say that that's not a healthy part. I'm not negating it, but I'm saying that that's not all of it. We also have, the mindedness coming together. Where are we on certain thoughts? Where are we on certain practices? Where are we on behaviors? These are all important. This is all part of a healthy community to be able to have these dialogues. And, for Coach Calvin to say, look, this is how I can impact this part of our global community. And this is what works for me. And there's going to be people who align with that thought and those behaviors. The same way with Mary says, look, this is the way I impact the community and help strengthen the community. We each have our own styles, but we have to come together in order to talk about it. That's the power of community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You
see
that, Doc?
Please.
I did.
So, yes, and what you both just said, like, really is the purpose and foundation of what we have built over the past 7 months in talking about these very important conversations and trying to, just bridge the gap and having a perspective of both men and women. Have a touch into the conversation, but we've also worked together in juvenile justice. That's actually how we initially met, and those stories are very interesting and funny because I would say something, he would look at me crazy, and vice versa. So for us to have the platform that we're building the community together in a different way and in a different chapter of just knowing each other has been very valuable, just overall.
Sure. And Mary, as you were just saying that, and I'm thinking about what Coach Calvin said, as far as with the young people, that we do have to build, strengthen, and be a part of these new communities that they are. So I know many times when I'm looking for students, I may have called them, I may have texted them. I will hunt you down on the gram, on TikTok, right? I have to. I'm coming for you, right? I'm gonna find you. And so, right, but we have to know that if you're staying off of those things and waiting for these kids to come to you in your style, they haven't connected with you yet. So you have to. So they're like, "You gonna do a TikTok?" I'm like, "Oh man!" I said, "Y'all know it's hard for me to say no to the kids." I was like, "Let's just start. Let me start slow first, and let me just get an account, and I'll follow you, and then one day maybe I'll post something." But that's our point of connection. And, they want to text. Many times I will tell them to text me even when they don't want to talk, for two reasons. Number one, they can text me at any time, day or night, because we know kids are up at different times of the night. So they are sending it, they're communicating, and they're also writing. I don't want a journal. No problem. Text me.
Right.
So, it works. And so it's documentation. And so we just have to learn to be flexible and adaptable to where
It's
we
funny
are
you said
now.
that. Yeah, because I sit there and I watch Facebook sometimes, and you sit there and it's like, all right, I want to make a comment on this, but you got to know when to be quiet. You
Mhm.
know, you got to
Mhm.
know when not to be an adult, and you get more information just sitting there being quiet. So when they really,
Yep.
really need you, you can sit there and
Yep.
say,
Shut your
I've
mouth.
watched what's been going on, and we can have this
Yes.
discussion now. You know, I seen what you
Mhm.
posted a month ago. I seen
Mhm.
all the cussing. I seen you smoking the blunt. I seen all these things.
Mhm.
Now let's talk.
Mhm.
But if
Yep.
you sit there every time and you're going to inbox like you ain't supposed to put that up, you ain't supposed to
Right.
do this,
Right.
then you're not going to be on there long.
No,
Right. They're
no.
gonna block you, and we know they can put block up real fast,
Look, with
and
Real
you
five,
be
fast.
none the
They don't
wiser.
need no
pages,
regulation support for that. They know how to do
Right.
that. Like, I don't hear you no more. You on mute.
no, they'll put up 5 new pages with 5 different names,
Yes.
and you won't
Oh
know it.
my goodness.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then they be
Yes.
like, I forgot the password.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Bunny, is Bunny in the
Yes.
building?
Bunny's here.
Bunny is
Bunny's
here.
always here.
Oh, look at that.
What book is that?
That
This
is
is my new children's book. It's called The Reunion: The Adventures of Froggy T and Bunny, a Hip Hop Tale.
Okay, The Adventures.
Froggy T and Bunny. And the first book in the series is The Reunion. Thank you very, very much. Yes, that's my baby. These are my twins that just came popping out about 2 weeks ago. So they
That is funny that you say that like that.
they were conceived 12 years ago when I
Yes,
first
yes.
actually wrote it started out as a birthday poem to my friend and mentor and business partner, Dr. Thomas Gordon. And I just wanted to do something creative instead of just going to the store and buying a card. And so he always called me Bunny because of the amount of energy that I have and all the different things that I do. And so I said, well,
I
you
know when you
always
said
have
all the different things that you do, I was like, okay, wait, what word, which ones am I going to use?
exactly. And so I said, well, you always hopping right along with me. So I was like, I got to give him a nickname. And so it was in that birthday poem that I dubbed him Froggy T. And then the more that I read the story, or excuse me, the more that I wrote the poem, the more that I realized it really was a children's story. And so I gave him his portion of the story as his birthday poem, and then I flushed the rest out and turned it into a children's story.
Dr.
And
Walls, what age group is
yes. So this age group, I would put it really between like 8 and 11 or 7 and 11. But what I did, I also made it a digital audio book, and I also made it an animation. So that way it would appeal to even younger children. But Mary, no, I'm slick because there's lessons in here for everybody. Because again, as we talked about being a student always as well, it was important to me that there's lessons for the person reading it as well as for the person listening to it. And I wanted to create conversation for the family as well.
Is it available on Amazon? I see a question.
You know it is. Yep,
Okay.
it is available on Amazon. It is, and the animation is
Go get it.
available on Vimeo. So you can go to my website, which is askdrwalls.com, AskDrWalls.com, and you will see Froggy T and Bunny. And when you scroll down, you'll see all the various ways that you can get it.
Look, I'm a fan now.
Can
I'm
you
writing
say
everything
the
down.
can you say the
There's my
website
favorite
again?
one. Yes, AskDrWalls, AskDrWalls.com.
Got it.
AskDrWalls.com for Instagram.
Yes. And definitely, and there's Froggy T and Bunny on Instagram, so you can do that as well. Notice Bunny is Bunnie. So you can also please follow Froggy T and Bunny on Instagram as well.
Which
And
is on
so
the
be
bottom
sure
of the
to
screen.
thank you. And be sure to
Absolutely.
check out the animation, because the animation and the digital audio book, you actually hear Froggy T playing the saxophone.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
And
this is what this is for. We building bridges, man. So go
thank
support.
you.
Go buy the book
Yeah.
out. Go buy the book out,
Yes.
man.
Buy it
Like all
out.
the books,
Yes.
all of them.
It's so good.
And
It's
you
so
might
good.
find
And
some other good books too, and while you over there.
that's right. It's the truth. And I did it with rhyming, one, because I always liked rhyming as a child, and I'm a former early childhood and elementary and middle school teacher. So I also know that rhyming helps with reading development and is also engaging as well. Go ahead, Calvin. You look like you got a question.
I ain't got no question. I said I'm a fan now.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, definitely. I buy books as gifts, so this will be a few I buy. So I like this.
Oh,
Awesome.
excellent.
Now
You want me
this
to read a little bit? You want me to read a
Yes.
little
look,
bit?
yeah,
Look,
please,
Yes.
okay.
please,
We know you want
please.
to.
You know I do. All right, wait. Look, let me
Somebody
get
said they
my
purchasing
story
the
mode.
book right now.
Thank you. There was a frog who hopped all day, looking for a bunny to laugh and play. He looked and looked, but could not find a match for both his soul and mind. This cannot be, said Froggy T. I know she's here. She's always near. She's been in my life at least 40,000 years. Why is she hiding? What must I do? I've got it. I'll play a jig or two. So Froggy T picked up his sax, and as he played, his soul relaxed. The melody, so soft and sweet, would move that bunny to her feet. So with a prayer and then a blow, the melody began to flow. All right, this will be the last page, the teaser. As Froggy T played, Bunny swayed and moved to the beat. At first a pat and then a clap, the rhythm ran down deep. She burst in song, singing all day long, wondering from whence it came. Now y'all gonna find out from where it came from.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doc, we appreciate you, Doc. Doc. Doc, we appreciate
Go right
you.
into skit.
Okay.
Now listen, man, that's like it's powerful, man. It's powerful when our people can do things like that could be passed on hundreds and hundreds of years from now, man. And you can teach so many kids how to read, so many kids rhyme patterns. Listen, we listen. I'm on here because I'm kind of trying to be the new bridge builder. I'm trying to build communities of people. So
Amen.
People saying they buying the book right now. Doc,
Yes,
so I'm
amen.
feeling good.
Thank you. I am too. My mother said, "Move over, Dr. Seuss," and that was before all the controversy took place last week.
Oh,
You know what I
right,
mean? She was
right.
like, "It's time for somebody new." So
Yes,
it's a
I know.
series. So this is the first in the series. I've already written 5 other ones. And I actually had a meeting with the animators and the illustrators who are actually out of St. Lucia. So it's a global initiative. When you listen to and watch the animated as well as the digital version or any of it, because like I said, they did the illustrations as well as the animations. It is all Black team, Caribbean Americans who did the illustrations and animations. And then my saxophone player, he is out of St. Lucia as well. His name is Rob Zy Taylor. And he is known as the Kenny G of the West Indies, and a fabulous, fabulous player. And let me just give us, I forgot to mention the illustrator and animation team is Malfini and the Malfini Animation, excuse me. And so they are a wonderful team as well. And then the voiceover artist, V. Shane Frederick, did the voice of Froggy T, and he's a jazz pianist and vocalist based out of Philadelphia. And then Steph Renee, she did the voice of Bunny, and she's a songstress, artist, community activist. Many people know her. She used to do the Mid Morning Mojo on WURD. And so she did the voice of Bunny. And so it has just been a wonderful, like I said, international collaborative process. And so in the next book, there's New Cat. Thank you.
I just
You
get
get
I just get mine too.
Thank
Andera, we
y'all.
appreciate you, Andera.
Thank you so
Man,
much.
appreciate you, Andera. Andera, we're gonna be in touch with you as well. I see what you posted up there. So thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Yeah. And Coach Calvin,
Really.
let me say this to you. You know, the book really talks about, and it's interesting as I was doing it, I didn't think about it this way. And my assistant, Zyla, she said to me, she said, look at the love that you have and how much love, how this project has touched so many people's lives, how the love that you had for your mentor has touched so many people's lives. And I hadn't looked at it that way. You know, I was just, like I said, I was just writing a birthday card. I had no idea that, and it took 12 years for me to find the right illustrators. I had no idea back in 2008 when I wrote this poem that it was going to become a book, that it was going to become an animation, and is now actually turned into a company. So, I mean, I have mugs and backpacks and masks and it's turned into a whole entity, you know? And so just touching people's lives, you know, it was just one act that I thought for 1 year that has now turned into a whole 12-year, you know, thing, and now has impacted so many people's lives. And I mentioned Malfini Productions because this all took place last year during the pandemic. And so they are on the beautiful island of St. Lucia, which their economy is based on tourism. But because I was able to hire them to do this project, I was able to contribute to that economy. So when we talk about return on investment, here, this man befriended my husband 7-8 years ago, you know, at the first Piton International Film Festival, which is another project that my husband and I have. We run a film festival, which is global, and we used to do the celebrations in St. Lucia, and Mary would come and help us in St. Lucia. And that's how you bootleg Lucian.
I'm bootleg Lucian.
But that's how we met. That's how we met Milton. And like I said, he and my husband befriended each other. And for the past 7 years, kept saying we're going to work on a project. He had no idea that I was going to pull Froggy T and Bunny out of my arsenal, and that would be the project that we're able to build on. And one of the things he also said was that the young men on his animation and illustration team, they had dreams of going beyond the island. And here, Froggy T and Bunny has now been bought in several countries around the world, and their work, you know. And so I just had a meeting with them the other day to show them, because they hadn't seen the book, because the book just went live a couple weeks ago. So, you know, it's one thing for it to be on your screen. It's another thing to see it held in people's hand across the world. So I was showing them pictures as people took, and y'all, when you get your book, take a picture with it and, you know, tag me on it so that I can post you, because it's changing their lives as well, because it's no longer a dream for them that their work goes beyond their sketchbooks and their computers. It is now a reality that their work is touching people's lives around the world. And that beautiful. Brings tears to my eyes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like, from a person who is I got a problem. So somebody who made a book, like, that's my ultimate. So we're gonna talk. But
come on.
Doc, he been writing his book too long. I had to have one of your meetings with him and say, okay, right. Look, this is what we gotta. Yes, you can get him.
That's right.
And he's trying to be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
You better get it out there. There comes a time where you gotta release it. There comes a time. Thank you for buying your copy. I'm so excited. Thank you. And from it, one of the other things that birthed out of it was I started my own publishing company, because in the story I used the word God, and when I would send it to editors, they would constantly tell me that I had to change it to a lowercase g for God. And for me, God ain't no low G. God is a big G. God is the big OG. And so I couldn't do it. And I said, I know how to eliminate this. If I start my own company, can't
like
nobody
that.
tell me what to do. And so in December, I started my own publishing company. So I'll just run all my books
Oh
through
yeah,
me.
we really.
See?
Oh, yes, see, I'm building a bridge for my own
See?
self.
That's right.
Didn't even know it, man. Boy, I tell you, man. I tell you, sometimes when you're trying to do good for other people,
That's
good stuff happen for yourself. Man.
It does. It does. And that's it. So come on. And the books, my thing is for my company is gotta sow seeds into people. It's gotta sow seeds and it's gotta impact people in a positive light. There's other companies, if you want to do drama and different things like that, that's fine. But for me, you gotta impact. My publishing company is called Planters Knowledge, and the planter is a capital P because the planter is God. And so we are planting God's knowledge, and whenever we do that, it reaps a harvest.
Where is that tambourine?
Drop it.
I knew. Listen, I'm reading the comments, and
Yes.
we're gonna put up. Erica just said inspired. I knew when you started to speak. I knew when I followed your story. I knew when I heard you. I knew what kind of impact you would have on people, and
definitely
the people that are connected to me through my bridge, through our platforms. I mean, I know what kind of people they are. So I know the words that you give. I know the inspiration that you give. That people would really, really enjoy it. I mean, me and Coach Cal, we know Andera for forever. You know what I'm saying? And she's out there fighting a good fight in her own lane, and just all of us coming together and just keep chopping and keep swinging. I'm using a chop. I'm using a PWI Rutgers term. Sorry,
all right,
Mary, I didn't go to HBCU.
It's all good. We all have our reasons.
Everybody gonna keep chopping at this thing. So I just want to say I thank you, and I really appreciate you, and I know everybody else does. So from everybody, we all say
I definitely do. I definitely do. Appreciate you.
And so I just got a comment to the she need drums. Don't tell her, because I'm gonna end up getting a message from my 12-1 brother that she got drums in the house and he can't go to sleep. He's gonna blame it on me.
He just got one from Guinea.
See?
He just got one. He just got one last week.
So now he is about to be a part of the production because you didn't spoke it.
Thank you. Yes. Got the djembe.
Yes. That's what's up. Oh goodness. I can see, I'm gonna say Baba in this moment playing the drums.
Yes. I can too.
I have so many affectionate names for him, but I'll say Baba in this moment.
And I'll share this. I mean, that came from, there's a gentleman by the name of Rich McEwen, and he's a filmmaker, and he's also one who's been down with us for the past 7 years with the Piton International Film Festival, and he makes documentaries. He did one documentary called Beatboxer, where he talks about the history of beatboxing, and that thing is fabulous.
Okay.
And then he did another documentary, which is from New York to Conakry, which is the capital of Guinea in, West Africa. And he talks about the history of the djembe. And so he actually had bought some of the djembes back. And so we got a chance to buy one of those again, like within the last week. So the documentary is incredible. So definitely check it out.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So there's a lot of people out there. So I'm so happy to hear about Andera doing wonderful things in the community. There's a lot of people who are doing great things in and for the community and the African diaspora and the community at large that many times we don't hear about. And I had a friend of mine that used to say to me a long time ago, he would say, he said he noticed in himself, the more he talked, the less he did. And so he learned that he had to be quiet. And so many times those people who are doing things in the community, you never hear about them. That's because they're so busy doing stuff.
Exactly. To
No
get
time
in
to
there
talk.
when you get in there on here about special education.
Yeah, she put it.
Bro,
She put it
she's
in there.
beautiful.
She already know. You grew
Yeah,
up in the
she's
Palisades. I got to get you. I
yeah.
got. Listen,
Look,
the
she
Palisades.
in Columbia, South Carolina, and I hit her. Yeah,
Oh, all right.
As small as our little corner was in our little projects, we got some talented people out here, man.
Yes.
So Andera,
Yes.
you will hear. She and listen, man, we gonna build a real community and a real network and from this thing, man. So listen, I want to thank both of you guys. And listen, I don't know if I'll have any issues with the internet, but it's funny because the book comes from a mentoring purpose. You writing a letter, and Coach Cal has always been somebody I looked up to and has been a mentor to me and somebody I've respected. That don't mean that he's perfect, and he'll tell you that. That don't mean that he hasn't had some growth to go through. But I love it. I love it because I'm not perfect, and I see a lot of myself in him, and we just striving to be better and do
every
better
day.
And want
Every
better
day.
for the community. So, Coach, I just want you to just tell us a little bit about like who you are and really, really what you do. And if you had a magic wand, how would you use it?
I'll start with I'm a product of my environment. My life right now is fixing everything that I didn't have. Lack of men, lack of a decent education, this lack of a prosperous or beneficial justice system, everything. So I fight everything that we didn't have growing up, and that's my life in a nutshell. When things wasn't going right for me, I got pulled in the education, and there was no 4-year degree. There wasn't none of those things. It was just a passion to get into it and do it. And that's been from here down to Florida. So I'm everything I didn't have as a young man, a straight project kid.
So you now work.
I'm sorry. I am now a community. I went from education to juvenile probation, and now I'm into victim advocacy. I seen a need for urban education and a need for help with urban trauma. Too many organizations put trauma all in one clump, and there is a need to separate the two and understand that Black folks have a different type of trauma, and it needs to be treated as such. And we need different resources in the community to help with our trauma. And that's what I do. Everything from finding therapists to finding housing after a shooting, relocation, down to news coverage for homicides and helping people pay for medical bills and other things after a violent issue or a violent crime. So that's what I do now. Advocacy in court, advocacy in juvenile court, all aspects of violent crime.
Okay.
It's when I always follow Coach, it's sometimes sad because I'm not in Pittsburgh anymore, and sometimes I feel like I left him out to dry.
You did. You did. You did.
But from a personal standpoint, I didn't think my light could shine the way I wanted it to in Pittsburgh. And the reason why is because of something that happened outside of, no, not outside of it. Actually, what he's just talking about. We had a traumatic incident happen back in our hometown, and I was like, you know what? Nope. There's no respect for nobody.
Oh no, bro.
If this person could die in the way that he did, Del Rico ain't nobody special here. You know what I'm saying? And I thought I was, and I thought I was special. And I was like, you know what? I'm going where it may be violent. Some of the stuff may be going on, but I could really work how I want to work. You know what I'm saying? Because I watch Coach Cal out there, and he might be the only man sometimes in the middle of some of this madness.
But here's the wild part, though, Flesh.
And I just
I'm
shake
glad
my
you
head.
left.
But
I'm glad you left. I give anybody in my position that advice to leave Pittsburgh. Like anybody, and they say you should stay here. They say you should stay here and fight, blah blah blah. But my biggest fight most of the time is black folks. That's my biggest fight.
And what is that fight? Like, what are some of the things that if you had a magic wand that could kind of pinpoint it and resolve it, like what would that be in your community of Pittsburgh?
What we talked about earlier, what we talked about as far as what's a normal culture and what's not normal.
Right.
And some of the things that we've normalized based on trauma and based on undereducation and based on an extremely racist system here in Pittsburgh. If I took a wand, I would like to change what our normal looks like here. Because our normal is scary. I think that we should want more. I think we should want more for our kids. I think we should want more for the generations behind us coming up. And I don't see us fighting hard enough to change things. This place has been the same for the last 30, 40 years. So I just would take that wand and change what normal looks like here. You know, how we deal with trauma, how we deal with anything that's affecting our lives in a negative manner. We got bars all over the place. We got everything you possibly use to get high or drunk with. And then we okay everything. We don't argue with people and say this is wrong. We fall in line. And that's one of the biggest issues we got here. And that's what I fall into. Saying something different to people who think that something that's not normal is normal. That's my biggest fight.
Wow.
yeah,
So if you
and listen,
go ahead,
I'm
Bill.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like, I was just going to piggyback and just say sometimes and it goes for both of you guests, you know, when you out here doing what you're doing and you putting on your cape, sometimes people don't recognize that you're doing superhero work. So from somebody who is in it and trying to do the very best with a lot of people saying they got handbooks and answers and things like that. I just want to give you guys flowers and really say thank you, man, because sometimes just saying thank you, isn't said enough to the people like you guys who are out here doing the work that you're doing, because, a lot of times the people you work with are takers. They just come and you help them and then they gone, they off, they out of here. You know what I'm saying? And you feel
don't even have the full toolkit, but they running.
Right.
Yes. And you're just who you are. So it feels good. I help somebody. So, okay, I feel pretty good. And they don't know what you've went through. You may have put your family on the back burner. You put yourself on the back burner. So from somebody who knows what you kind of go through, man, I just want to say thank you to both of you beautiful kings and queens. Because without you, it would be 1,000,000 times worse. I mean, without y'all two, it'd be 1,000,000 times worse. And we trying to get better. We got a long way to go, but without you two people, beautiful black people, kings and queens, because that's the word we use on here, we would be in a lot more trouble. I mean, Coach Cal, if you wasn't going where you was going, Doc, if you wasn't writing these books and giving us the feel that you have us feeling, like we would really be in an awful position. So thank y'all very, very, very much. I really appreciate you guys.
And let's be clear that Doc is global. Like, she go in the communities just like we do. But she has a global audience that is all ages. So it's like, she's talking to all people.
Look, I said I took notes today.
You took notes today?
All right, now.
I took notes on culture. I took notes on a lot of stuff she was saying today. I got the book. I'm like I said, I'm a constant learner.
Yeah.
Right, and for our listeners, like, just get your shoes dirty, man. Just get the bottom of your
not in the rain.
Not in the rain.
Not in the rain. You want to get the sand picture. but then after that, in the rain. You ain't hear me out. You ain't hear me out, Del. You ain't hear me out. You ain't hear me out. It's gonna get dirty. It's gonna get dirty in the mud and the rain. But on the first couple wears, can we just have a shoe cam view?
I'm just saying.
Feel how comfortable they are. That's all. That's all.
Listen,
before they step up in the ish.
Yeah, you
'Cause once
know,
you put
Yeah.
them shoes on, you get in it. You getting in it.
You're gonna be all in it. But
That's right.
like I tell you, we don't have to always agree. But if your
Yes.
people are out here working and
Yes.
grinding and trying to
Yeah.
do better, man, support them in any way possible. And
Yeah.
like if you following Doc now, share Doc stuff. If you following Coach Cal, share his stuff, man.
Yeah.
We could build our own powerful community. You don't have to wait on anybody. If you see Andera's stuff, share it,
Yeah.
comment,
Yeah.
post. I mean, these are the new conversation pieces, and we are old enough, grown
Yeah.
enough, intelligent enough
Yeah.
to use it in a way where it's positive and it can continue to move us forward. So
Yeah.
let's really build these bridges with each other. We don't have to wait on nobody else. We don't have to wait
I
on
agree.
a single soul. I know a lot of people. I know Coach Cal. You know Doc. You know a lot of Mary. You know everybody. So,
Everybody says that.
yeah, you know, listen, you know everybody. so we
That's
can
it.
build. We got
get it from a
intelligent
mentor.
people who April post, Swanee and Dara. We had Tyrone check in. We had some people who really got some
Yeah.
idea. On Instagram, I mean, brother E-Dub, Ian Johnson, one of my big brothers, he checked in. So we got a community where people got answers. We don't have
Yeah.
to keep, we know what's wrong. We need to find some answers now. So
Correct.
I really appreciate y'all. I really, 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 I'm gonna pass it to Mary, but I just want you guys to know that I really appreciate you from the bottom
Thank
of my
you.
heart.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all. This was good for me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Ditto.
Awesome. I'm so excited. And I know that we took 20 minutes so far longer than what we intended. And so I would want
Hold on. Can I do something real quick, Mary, real quick? Because I don't know if you was going there with this. Listen, we bigged up our guests, and on National Women's Day, we got to big up the co-host. I really hope that
Yes.
you have what you have right next to you, because without further ado, we do have a book in the house from Chocolate Crown co-host Mary May.
Yes.
Please show what
That's
you
so
have for
I didn't
us.
want to get in trouble because I knew either you or Dr. Walls was going to ask about it or say something. I had to make it right away.
Very
And the
good.
title of my chapter is My Crown Speak. And yes, I share my story in regards to my relationship to hair. And but I also, in the other is 16 other contributing authors that talk about workplace discrimination, health issues, all of the uncomfortable truths that we as Black women don't talk about or don't have a safe space to talk about is in this book. And I am so thankful for the opportunity, because this kind of stretched me in all types of ways that Dr. Walls didn't prepare me for. And we've been talking about me being an author for like a million years of Sundays, but here it is. It's in ink. Wait, let me get to the page. Let me get to the page.
Yes. That's a beautiful cover. Read the title so people can, just in case they couldn't see it.
Okay, so the title is Can't Tell Me Nothing, presented by Dr. Carrie Yazid, and it's the uncomfortable hair truths of Black women. So it is available on Amazon. However, I get credit if you purchase it through my website, which is butterflylovellc.com. I'll post that up just shortly, and on my author page. So you're able to do the full purchase from there. So here's my chapter. If you're able to see, I don't know like which way to go.
Yes, you got it. You good.
Okay. My Crown Speaks, Mary E. May in black and white.
Yes. You know you getting it. Yes.
I was like the only thing missing when I did my video of unboxing on Instagram and showing them here was I didn't have a tambourine. I was like, wait a minute, I gotta go buy my own tambourine. But I was so excited. Like, this is just a
It's
chapter that I've been
beautiful.
waiting for. And I was like, oh my God, it looked like the real pictures that we've been having.
Mhm,
So of course the
mhm.
publisher laughed at me, said, yes, it does look like the same thing. And again, it was very important for me to work with my own sister. So it is a Black owned business. Dr. Carrie Yazid is you know, is the person who published this book and guided us through the entire process as a new author. So it was very, very wonderful
Go
to
ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
meet with her.
Way to go.
Put the,
Yeah.
put the
That's beautiful.
website back up there, because the community, you listen, community.
Yeah.
There ain't no Amazon ordering with this one. We order docs from Amazon. We ordered this one straight from her website. So let's make
That's
it happen.
right.
We need that website.
That's it.
Co-host, because we
I'm
hype for
writing,
you
I'm
too,
writing,
man.
I'm writing, I'm writing, I'm writing.
Listen, this is what's perfect about this.
Mhm.
There's enough shine for everybody.
Yes,
There's
it
enough
is.
light for everybody. Doc got a book,
Right.
we're gonna get that one. Mary got a book, we're gonna get that one. Listen,
Yes.
man, this is a beautiful thing, man. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling
Thank
good.
you.
And when the lights come out, when is that
Yes,
coming out?
Lights is
Look,
out.
pushing.
The lights is out. The lights is
That's
out.
right. Keep pushing. Keep pushing. And here's the thing that I love about books and writing, right? Many times people think it's got to be so thick. You only need really 20, 21 pages. That's all you need. You
Can
can
you say
just
that
do a
again,
little.
Tambourine?
Yep.
2100 pages.
You only need like 20, 21 pages. You can do volumes. You can do them in little increments, pamphlets, so that people can carry it, just so you can start getting in the habit of doing it. Okay. It doesn't
Now,
have to be an anthem, and then people can buy, they might buy one for $5, or they might buy the whole anthology for $25. But
Yeah.
you gotta start to just do a little bit at a time and release it. Don't make it so big
And
that
look,
you
that's
never do it.
Inspiration. That's what I was trying to get with this show, man. I was trying to get some very intelligent people that I really respected what they're doing to just light a fire under some of our people, because that's all it takes sometimes. I mean, that's really all it takes. And
Yeah.
listen, I'm happy. There's people breaking books on the show. This is magical moment, man. We got to talk about a lot of powerful things, and like Coach Cal said, I hope everybody was out there taking notes, man, because you never know when you just walked into a professional classroom.
That's
It could
right.
be on Sundays on Chocolate Crown, man. There is a lot of teaching experience on this screen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. And I
Yeah.
knew the power behind this. And the co-host she's super dope, and she got connections. So I'm using them. So, so I want to listen. I want to thank you guys. Chocolate Crown. Definitely.
You got a challenge on the board. You got a
You
challenge
sure
on the board.
We appreciate you. I'll tell you this. This won't be the last time. I'm a beg to have you guys back on. And I like it together as well, because you're both very,
Appreciate
very,
it.
very,
Right on off.
very,
Yeah, I'm
Thank
honored, man. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank y'all for creating this platform and for
Definitely.
maintaining it. Over the months, you're talking about 7 months. I mean, and here you done birthed a new part. So you coming up quick before
Keep
the
doing it.
9-month mark.
Before the 9-month mark.
Y'all done birthed a new aspect to it.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
all
And
I
it's
know-
another birthing about to happen too for April, for someone's birthday month. So it's just a lot of things happening.
Good. Congratulations to the
Actually,
both
it's
of
two
you.
things
Well
being
done.
birthed. I'm
Doc,
gonna speak it.
something.
2 things birthed in April.
Got something in
Okay.
the work, Doc.
Yes.
I'm gonna probably have to talk to you really, really soon.
Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
we can do some teacher red marking it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
I actually, Doc, I think I got a really good story, and
Okay.
I'm not really big on myself a lot of times. That's why I play football, because you can hide with the helmet.
Uh-huh.
Helmet.
Mhm.
And when I was young, I had the ears, so I could hide with the helmet. So
Yes.
I still got a little bit of that in me, and but
Mhm.
I know what inspiration does. I know what seeing your book, and I know what Mary telling everybody about hers. And then me having my guy on the screen with me and really respecting him. I know what it can do as well. So I thank you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. We be honest, we could go for another 2 hours, but
no, I just wanted to ask closing thoughts.
Del Rico, I'm gonna share.
Plate. I was.
I'm gonna share this with you and somebody else out in the audience who I feel as though needs to hear this. It was back in 2006, and I was leaving. I had just left Katrina because I had gone down to do some work post Katrina, and someone said to me, he said, "Doc," he said, "when are you going to realize there's an audience just for you?" Because he was telling me I needed to write a book, and I didn't feel as though I knew what to write about yet. And he said, "When are you going to realize there's an audience just for you?" And I sat there and I thought about Michael Jackson, Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, and Madonna. And I said, they all have their own audience. There's at least 1 million in each of those spaces. And some of them don't even cross over. So to your point that there's enough shine for everybody, there's enough. Whitney Houston, Dolly Parton, they sang the same song. Whitney Houston's version hit a lot of people differently. Okay. So there is a voice for you. There's our ears that are waiting to hear what you, and I'm saying it to you, Del, and I'm saying it to whoever else needs to hear this. There are ears that need to hear what you have to say in your tone.
That's it.
Okay.
I'm listening.
This is the microphone.
Only thing is, I should have clicked and made you big on the screen, so it looked like you was just talking to me. I should have made it real person. We don't even got nobody in here. It's just me and Doc right now.
That's it. And we have to tell. My husband always says we have to tell our own stories. It's so important. We do. We have to document. Historically, we know that there was a lot of things that were documented and destroyed. And so, yes, that is very angering. It's frustrating. It's not fair. It was not right. That is all very true. We now have the power to document in many ways, in multiple ways. It is literally at our fingertips all day, every day. And we have to take use of that power and use it.
Yep, you're very right. Chocolate Crown, Sundays, 8 p.m. Please share, tell a friend to tell 2 friends, because show number 1 with guests is out of control. So next Sunday, if you the guest on Chocolate Crown and we just cut you off, it's just because, sorry, you just wasn't, you didn't match the standards of show 1. I'm sorry, man. So I might have to have you do on speed dial. You know what I'm saying? Just nah. The people we got coming up, they're pretty powerful people, and they got a story to tell, and they also have services and goods and products. A lot of people we gonna bring. Some of these people are starting from nothing. And they had an idea, and now it's turning into something. Over the next few weeks, we're going to have some very powerful people who started from where we say started from the bottom, but we here, and they built it and built it and built it up. So it's going to be interesting. But while we got you here, I just want to say thank you. Appreciate you guys. And hopefully we could do this again sometime soon.
Got you.
I'm here for it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And as you were just saying that, made me think about, especially as you guys are rocking it out on the the lower boxes, that I was about to say one of my other names, Dr. Walls, is a singer, poet. Like, she got a whole bunch of things, and her little kit as she starts spilling down there, and then Del Rico also does music. Like, he creates, like he probably has a whole bunch of books in that little toolkit is over there. Because he does all types of music, and whatever is happening in the world, it just comes out creatively. Like right. That's why he had a tambourine meeting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, you gonna get poked.
You in the village now. You in the walls of wellness.
That's right. That's right. Release.
Yeah.
I'll say this. You know,
You
my
can
first
release
book.
the cry.
Yeah, exactly. My first book is The Greatest Soul Journey. And the greatest stands for God restores excellence, activates talents, encourages spiritual transformation. So the first letter and all of that spells out the greatest, right? And my thing is that God has endowed us, right, and with things that we are supposed to do, with gifts and talents that we are supposed to use. We have our talents inside of us. When we share them with others, they become gifts. And I'm telling you right now, I will be angry if at the end of life, those gifts have not been shared with me. I think about it like if I were to open up a closet and there were a whole bunch of gifts in there with my name on it that you never gave to me, I'm not going to feel some type of way. I'm going to be angry.
I love that.
All right.
Definitely
So
love that.
get the gifts out to who they belong to. Use your talents. In scripture, it talks about the talents, and the one person invested, and the other person invested, and the last person didn't. This goes full circle back to what we talked about, a return on investment, the ROI. The more you use your talents, you'll never know what else lies underneath those talents until you use the first ones that you've been given. You have to strengthen them as well.
Yes,
We don't
indeed.
know what else is in you, and it can't come out until it's released.
Yes,
So
indeed.
that, you know,
In time. Yes.
yeah. We
Yes.
ready?
Yes. 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 We done dropped the mic 3 times with Doc, man. She's amazing.
She is.
Listen, Chocolate Crown, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We thank you again. Every Sunday, 8 p.m., please
Thank
check
you.
us out. We have some beautiful people coming through. Coach Cal, Calvin, Coach Cal Murphy, we want to thank you.
Yes, thank
Dr.
you.
Kathleen E. Walls, we want to thank you. Go check out their Facebook, Instagram pages because they got some powerful stuff up there. They're doing some powerful things in the community. So go check them out, man, because we building this bridge in the community. And Kings and Queens, we want to thank you. Thank you. Mary, we want to thank you. We appreciate you. Congratulations on the book. Doc, congratulations on the several books.
Thank you.
Everything. Look on everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey.
Thank
It's
you.
National Women's Month. National Women's Month. Brother, we gotta give it up for him,
Yeah,
Coach.
give it up to
We
him.
gotta give it up to him.
Do your thing,
Give
Mary.
it up. All the
Here we
ladies
go.
in the comments, all the ladies, April and Dara,
Yes,
my mom's in
yes.
the comments. Thank you. Appreciate
Oh,
all.
hey.
So listen, check us.
Come back in the
check us
room
out
like, what's
again
going
next
on?
Okay.
next Sunday, 8 p.m. Check us out. Check us out next Sunday, 8 p.m. Hopefully you stay blessed, stay safe.
Yeah.
Listen, find your gifts and your talents because, like Doc said, there's some more underneath that. So
That's right.
this
And
week
don't have
we're
a
finding
closet
out what
full
our
of
gifts
gifts.
and talents are. Yes. We love you.
Release.
Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.
Everybody
Thank
stay well.
y'all.
Safe.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.